Blood for the blood gods calls for the throne of corn. Do you hear the voices too? It is though 1,000 mouths cry out in pain. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for chaos training. And yes, I am a Warhammer nerd. That is what the reference is. So today was back in bicep day. I decided to work biceps in more on my back day. I know I have a separate bicep day, and last week I didn't do biceps at the end of back. But I feel like, look, let's just keep hammering away at the biceps, right? We know that we need them. We know they need the most work. So I threw in 6 sets for them at the end of my back work. So we started off with pull-ups, and here's what I'm doing with pull-ups. I just want to get stronger and stronger at pull-ups now that I'm getting to where I get my chin to the bar. I used to do them just the partial, but I'm focusing on doing that even though I can't do nearly as much weight. It's probably a good idea just for full range of motion, even though I don't necessarily get more lats from it. So just an FYI is to develop other things, not necessarily more lat, because I could just do the bottom half and my lats will blow up. But what I decided to do, I did 25 for 5. I'm like, let me grab a 45 and just grab a couple of heavier sets. So I got 3 because I paused on all of them. Then I got 4 on the final set, but I kind of didn't hang long for a couple of those reps. So again, I want to work a little bit lower reps on this. Keeping in mind, I really only do low reps on squat, bench, deadlift, but I feel like pull-ups is kind of my other big performance lift. So let's work on that. Now, obviously, the skin's a little loose still here, but I'm noticing it is tightening back up now the carbs are back down. So again, keeping calories very high, but adding the fasted cardio back in. Did a couple weeks of high carb. Didn't really like how I'm looking on it. So rotated back to the lower carb, and I can make lean gains on it just fine. I'm eating a lot of fat and protein. So, but again, noticing that's tightening up. I figure give it another week, especially as the weather warms up. Keep doing the fasted cardio. We'll do quite a bit better. But some of the lifts, it looks better than others, like the rows for some reason. Not so much, but we accept it. We live with it. So with the rows, did my normal weight. I managed to get 12 on all sets this time. So on these, I try to go as strict as possible now. I've messed with a lot of different types of rows, but ultimately at the end of the day, I feel like just rowing as strict as possible works great for my back. Try to minimize body English, although especially we get near the end, I try to stretch more and more at the bottom. I want to make sure that final rep or so, we get the full stretch. But again, happy with these. As far as strict rows goes, a lot of times I don't get 12 on the final set. I got it this time. So pretty happy with that. And what I decided to do, I've been doing more back volume here, and I'm like, I don't know that I need 3 types of rows, probably a bit much. So let's just focus on the pullovers for the 4th exercise, because keeping in mind, guys, I do pullovers on chest day. I do 3 sets of deadlifts on the posterior chain day. Those all work my lats. So realistically, I still get 12 sets for lats here, but am I getting 6 more sets through the week? Do we count deadlifts? Do we count the pullovers on the other? I get some back development out of deadlifts, even lats. So I'm going to not really count the deadlifts, though, but I'm going to count the pullover. So it still gives me 15 sets for my lats through the week. That's more than sufficient, especially considering my back is one of my dominant body parts. So instead of doing the seal rows, I'm like, let's just do the simple stuff to set up. Weighted pull-ups, barbell rows, dumbbell rows. Easy, easy, easy. And then pullovers. We've worked every function in the back. And we've even done isolateral work. So on the rows, of course, I got 13 reps on all the sets when I didn't do another type of row between. But again, this works the other angles that we want, right? We get a nice hammer type grip instead of the fully pronated. So we're getting a nice other angle. So the trick to doing dumbbell rows, and people seem to get upset with me, but I'm like, I got a good back, guys, and this is where I feel the most mind-muscle connection. People love to row them to their hip. They swing it to their hip. Sorry, guys, you're shortchanging a lot of your back when you do that. You are shortchanging your back. And I don't care that you're like, well, I'm only trying to isolate lats. Well, if you want to just isolate lats, do pull-ups. Okay, pull-ups will beat rows hands down for lat isolation. So in this case, this is a full back exercise. The idea, this exercise should build your lats, your traps, your whole trap, top to bottom, your rhomboids, your rear delts. Like this is a full middle and upper back exercise. So yes, you should stretch to the bottom to get the most lat, And then bring it up towards your chest or your armpit, guys. Right? And stretch at the bottom. I see people who they don't even want to do the stretch at the bottom. I'm like, you're not building your lats as effectively if you're not getting the stretch at the bottom. Like if you're not letting yourself roll down and that scapula come apart, don't even claim you're trying to build lats with it. You're clearly not. So, because that is actually the most important part for the lats. That's where we build wide lats. So we do that, but then if we bring it up to the armpit and chest area, we work all that upper back also. So again, the idea, we work as much muscle as possible. We want to develop the entire back with it. Okay, that's the idea. Because the pull-ups handle the lat dominance. Our rows still should build lats, but I mean, we're trying to build the whole back by doing a row. Otherwise, we would just do nothing but pull-ups and pull-up variations. So this takes me to 3 sets of pull-ups, 6 total sets of 2 types of rows. This is actually a pretty good lat workout. So then to finish them off, I'm doing pullovers. Now, I like the pullovers here also because it works my chest and triceps again. They get hit pretty hard on the chest and tricep day, right? So I like doing them here. So I'm going to focus on the range of motion. I've noticed I've started focusing on pausing at the bottom, getting a deep stretch, and then I've been working the volume and weight ups. I've gotten to where I could do reps, but they were not deep enough stretch with 90 pounds. But I've gotten to where I got 20 the other day, 20 reps with the full pause with the 55. So I'm like, well, let's grab the 70 now. So we take a 45 and a 25 and pinch it together. And the idea here, now I'm doing these with a stretch, definitely pausing at the bottom near the end of the sets more and more. So this is my full range of motion, but I feel like if I just get progressively heavier and increase reps while focusing on that pause, focusing on that stretch, this is how we get progressive overload on this. But this also builds the lats. Yes, it works the long head of the tricep, which I need, works my pecs, which I need, and then it still lets me finish the lats. So this gives me 12 sets for lats today. Of course, I do the same exercise on chest day. So now we have a lot of angles and a pretty dang good amount of volume for the back. But again, here, it does a lot of stuff. This is a great overall compound movement for aesthetics. Old school bodybuilders loved it. In fact, it used to be an old school thing with breathing squats. People used to superset these for sets of 20 between the 20 rep breathing squats. So they would do a Widowmaker and then do like a set of high reps of these to failure. And then once they rested, they repeated the Widowmaker squat, which is a 20 rep breathing squat. And then they would do this again and do 3 supersets of that, and dudes would go home. That was like a full workout. That was an old school bodybuilder workout. And it worked because, again, all that breathing. And it really seems to, it opens up your rib cage and stuff a lot when you do these. Not saying it creates a larger rib cage, because I don't believe that it does that. But it definitely helps open everything up. And so, again, it helps build some of those underlying muscles, too, like the intercostals and serratus. All around good exercise. So now at this point, I do it twice a week because it technically works the muscles that I want from those 2 different body part split days. And I feel like I need it for the shoulder mobility. I need it for the overall aesthetics. So I just double down on this one. It's kind of like my biceps get hit twice a week, right? So speaking of which, once I finish these up, you guys will see me walking towards the camera after this, I'm starting to look better and better. And I always find interesting the comments that I get by haters, because I get followers. I get people who paid me for consultations. I had a guy who was a gear consultation the other day who actually looks pretty good, and he laughed. He was literally like, he'll post under comments. His name's Benny. He's just like, dude, most dudes would kill for your physique. What are people hating on? Like, I don't get it. And again, I just let guys talk. I mean, all these dudes who want to trash on me, when they get into their 40s, they're going to be in for a rude awakening. They are not going to look like I do. They're not. So just let them talk, and I'm just going to keep getting better. So that's going to be the plan. Just keep getting stronger, keep getting leaner, keep getting more jacked. So curls, I'm like, if I'm going to do some curls on this day, I don't feel like I want to do the barbell curls. I'm like, let's go for the efficiency. These alternating dumbbell curls, they let me work every function of the biceps. So if I'm going to come in and just finish off the biceps, I'm going to do this. Like if I'm going to do a bicep day, I like starting with that barbell, right? It's a great, but think about this. Look at what happens with this exercise. Like look at the range of motion. We can work the entire bicep through its entire range of motion because we get that stretch at the bottom into that hammer position, which does put more stretch on the bicep, right? We can rotate it up so that we supinate the wrist. Okay, one of the functions of the bicep, we can move the elbow through its fullest range of motion, lock out to completely touching at the top, right? So we work that primary function the most, and then if we bring the dumbbells up towards our face, we get that shoulder rotation happening there. That is one of the functions of the long head. So this really brings a lot, and I took these to failure. And what I mean by failure, I went to do them, the last rep was really, really hard. Like when I got to these around 13 or 14 or so for that left arm, the weaker side, and that's what I let control it. They felt super challenging. Like I couldn't get another rep, and then they just sticks at the bottom. And so that's the idea. That's where I'm determining failure on this. And then when I go to just do a rep, the weight, just my left arm just won't move forward. I'm like, yeah, we're done. We're done. But then I took the bands to really serious failure too afterwards. Make sure we finish it off. And this is all higher rep. You know, everything here was 13 plus. Everything was 12 plus outside of the pull-ups. Why? Pull-ups handle my heavy work. There's my density, muscle density training, all the neural drive. It's like my squat, bench, and deadlift. I do triples on the bench right now. Right, I'm doing work sets of 315, pause for triples, all raw. You know, I like that. But then we rep out the other stuff. So, you know, we look at the other movements, and then I'll do fives on incline because I care about the performance on it. Like I'll do fives and sixes there. I'm fine with that. But then the dumbbells, we high rep the dumbbells, and then we high rep the pullovers for chest, right? Same thing with triceps. I'm trying to do everything 12 plus reps there. So all this smaller movements, all this stuff's 12 plus today. But we got heavy work. I don't need all the high amounts of heavy weight and tension. I did 3 and 4 reps with heavy weight on the pull-ups. So that covers that. All these muscles got hit with a really heavy weight. So now we just come in and we pursue burning them with a solid pump and doing sets to failure, right? Just get in and create metabolic fatigue, work these muscles through every angle, okay? So with those, that's what we did right there. And then I'm like finish them off with the band curls. Because again, I've worked all those functions, right? But this gives me that peak contraction, and then it gives that overspeed effect, helps build tendons, and I get a hell of a pump. So with these, with the band curls, I take a band, I can get just over 20 reps. So if I have different bands, obviously, these I can get about 22, 24 roughly. So then I bring them up, and then I squeeze at the end, and then I get to where I can't do another rep. When it starts getting really hard, and I know I'm almost to failure, I'll start squeezing at the top for just a second. And once we do that, then I let it jerk me down, and then I'm done. Like I can't go anymore. But the idea here, I'm still doing the full range of motion of the elbow. I'm just not worried about the other stuff. Right? So we lock it all the way out, and then we bring it up and squeeze at the top super hard so that I get a contracted position, and then we let the band jerk me down, especially on those pauses. That band jerks really hard. It gives you a very powerful eccentric component. Right? So right there, that's failure. I'm trying to do another rep, and I just can't. I cannot contract the arm again. It just won't move. Like I try there. So I strain a little bit, and it's just done. And the same thing on the final set. This one was the money. I tried to squeeze it super hard at the end as we started getting near the end. But again, I'm getting a heck of a pump there. Even my delts are pumped, biceps are pumped. So we're looking pretty decent. Overall, happy with that. Pretty happy with that. I still need that waistline tighter. I still need to get bigger. We need to get bigger, stronger, get the waist tighter. That's the goal. Squat 500 this week, probably. And then I finish off with one set of hanging leg raises because I like to do some ab and grip work every day anyways. All right, guys, really happy with today's workout, so I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.